Hello, everybody. Welcome to the video that has been a long time coming. I am back critically rereading the Twilight books. It's been a hot minute since I posted my last one, which was New Moon. I'll link all of the previous ones in the description below. Twilight and Midnight Sun and New Moon. It has been like 3 to 4 months since the New Moon video. Now we're here with the next one, which is for Eclipse, and tacking on to Eclipse, we're adding the short second life of Bree Tanner all into this one video. If this is your first time seeing this series, this is a little mini series that I've been doing where I am going back 10 years after originally reading the Twilight series and rereading them and attempting to do it with a critical eye or a critical viewpoint. I think we all learned in the New Moon one that I am really not good at that. But we're back to try and do it again. Twilight is not good. I think it has been proven multiple times that Stephenie Meyer has profited off of a real tribe, a real Native American tribe, and not given them anything. And then Midnight Sun came along and all of the hype started back up, and yet those two things were still pretty true. As with my last video, I will leave some links to what I'm talking about in the description below. So let's take a time to go back about 10 to 12 years ago where baby Chloe read Twilight, and she was probably way too young to be reading Twilight. Eclipse was actually one of my favorites in the series, if not my favorite book in the series. I don't think anybody liked New Moon. It sucked. Twilight was the introduction, and then Breaking Dawn is only good for like half of it. So Eclipse was pretty much where it was at. I haven't started my reread yet, but I'm hoping to be starting it tomorrow. I'm going to be working on my notes as things that I like, things that I don't like, and things that I'm kind of unsure of. But I will say the unsure of items tend to not happen that much. So let's go ahead and start this deep dive of critically rereading Eclipse and the short second life of Bree Tanner. So I have this really bad habit where I will start a vlog for a book that I'm reading, and I will read the book, and then I won't add another clip, and then I'm basically done with the book and I have no clips. So that's kind of what happened here, but I haven't finished the book yet. I read it at work over the course of, I want to say like 3 or 4 days, and I have 2 chapters left. I have been taking notes though. So we're going to talk about everything that I've thought up to the point where I'm at, and then I'm going to go finish the book, and then we're going to come back and talk about the last 2 chapters. My notes are organized in red is things I don't like, green is things I like, yellow is things I'm unsure of, and black is just like random thoughts that I've had that don't really have an opinion. Before I get started, I should probably note that this video is going to be full with spoilers of Eclipse, but has anybody not read Twilight or doesn't know what happens? Because does it really matter? Alright, first things first. Bella is obsessed with Edward to the point that it's really fucking weird. I think we've all learned what happens from New Moon when Edward leaves Bella and she like can't live, which is really a lot. I understand being super in love, but really she hasn't known him that long by the time New Moon comes around. So I think at the point where I am in Eclipse, or I think at the time of Eclipse, they've maybe known each other for 2 years, but that's, I don't know. After reading Midnight Sun, which if you didn't check out my critical read of Midnight Sun, I'll link it down below, reading from Edward's perspective helps us understand how he thinks in the remaining books that were not in his perspective. His controlling thing, it isn't cute. I understand the wanting to keep her safe, blah blah blah, but again, it's like Bella's like obsession too much. But I wrote, then again, I don't know what being a vampire or a werewolf is like. The end of chapter 3, I have a quote from the book. It was right at the end of chapter 3, and it's, quote, "My money's on the big Indian," someone was saying, unquote. And I'm like, what? When I read that, I was just, wow. Couple of random things, no opinion. Edward seems to have slightly mellowed out about Bella being changed into a vampire. I think he's finally accepted that nothing's going to change. The future is set. And then at the start of chapter 4, she's playing with magnets on their fridge, and I'm like, why? Kind of going back to the controlling aspect of Edward, I think it's ridiculous that she has to, quote, sneak out to try and go and see him in La Push, to see Jacob in La Push. Bella really needs to get over her issue with aging, because I'm tired of reading about it. It was very relevant in the beginning of New Moon. It's still relevant now, and it's really fucking irritating. So there's actually a passage that made me laugh, and I have the passage here, so I'm going to read it to you guys. And it says, it's between Bella and Jacob, and it says, "See, I explained, I don't care who's a vampire and who's a werewolf. That's irrelevant. You are Jacob, and he is Edward, and I am Bella, and nothing else matters." His eyes narrowed slightly. "But I am a werewolf," he said unwillingly, "and he is a vampire," he added with obvious revulsion. And Bella shouts, "And I'm a Virgo." So this next part is at Rosalie when she's telling her story to Bella. And it says, "Rosalie says that men's eyes followed her from the time she was 12. I'm sorry. Even if this was the 1920s or 1930s, that still makes me want to throw up. I don't care what time period it is." Okay, so a couple things that I was in the middle about, but also some non-opinion type things, just questions that I had. So Quill imprinted with a 2-year-old. Is it weird? I don't know how to feel about that, because I don't know how to feel about that. But then it's also explained that he can be whatever she needs him to be. A brother, a protector. I don't get it. It's not just lover. And then I wanted to know, about imprinting. What if the girl, the partner, etc. doesn't feel the same way? Are you stuck being in love with that person or obsessed with that person and they don't feel the same way? And also just a continuity thing I wanted to know about. How is Bella now able to ride a motorcycle with no problem? Because she wasn't able to in New Moon. How is she able to do it now with no problem? So the next thing I want to cover is regarding Jacob kissing Bella. And I wrote that he's really fucking dumb. He's a dumbass for kissing her, especially knowing that she has a boyfriend. That's fucked. I don't care if you're a vampire or a werewolf, whatever, that's fucked up. And then I also wrote that Charlie's a piece of shit too for encouraging Jacob, which he kind of did when they came back after she broke her hand, which I completely forgot about. One thing I do I love Emmett. His personality is great. So I love Emmett. I can't even remember what it was about, but there was something where he was just his personality shone through and I loved it. So now we're to the point where while I was reading yesterday, I didn't take any notes, so I kind of just did some quick thoughts on that. So we're going to go through those really quick. So we'll start with the thing I didn't like, and then we'll go into the kind of just a general question thing. There's the whole thing about Twilight is oh, it's a love triangle. Are you Team Jacob? Are you Team Edward? Love triangle. I think the whole thing is just a mind fuck. And it's not good. Not in a good way. Because Jacob says that he's going to go into the battle and die since Bella doesn't want him. He says that to her. She wants him to stay or to be careful. That's a form of emotional abuse, I think. That is a form of abuse, and it's not okay. It's really fucked up. The whole thing's a mental mindfuck. And then Edward sits here and was well, if that's what she wants, she can have it, and he'll piece the fuck out of here. So really, I think Jacob is a piece of shit. Last thing, really quick. This is not an opinion, it's more of a question. I want to know. So, and it's something I've been thinking about. Let's think of a scenario here. This is a scenario. Jacob says he's in love with Bella. Alright. Let's say Bella chooses him. They go off, they get married, they have kids, etc. In Breaking Dawn, he imprints on Renesmee. Would he then never imprint on Renesmee because she doesn't exist? Or, follow me here, would he imprint on one of his own children? Because I think that's why he's obsessed with Bella, is because, Bella's future child is who he's going to imprint on. So would he imprint on one of his own children, and would it be gross? Well, yes, the answer is yes, it would be gross. But how does that work? If somebody, thinks of an explanation for that, let me know in the comments below, because I'm really curious on how that would work. On that note, I have 2 chapters left. So I'm going to go finish the book, and I'll talk to you guys when I finish it. Hopefully I can get some more notes out of the last 2 chapters. I'm back. I finished it. I don't have too much from the last 2 chapters. It was 1 chapter and an epilogue. The only thing I really got was Bella was back on her bullshit of complaining about her age again, and we all know how that, we all know how I feel about that. Honestly, I'm not sure how good of a job I do at being critical while rereading these. Obviously I am coming to these books with a fresh perspective, because I was way too young when I originally read these. So I'm coming at them with a different perspective and more knowledge. I'm coming back to them as an adult, basically, which is how it should be, I guess. So I can't say that I'm doing a good job of critically rereading, but I definitely, when I'm reading and with my notes, am noticing things that are bad and really shouldn't be there. So I'm working on editing the first half of this vlog where I read Eclipse, and I noticed that because I do most of my updates in the evening after work, or just like, I just tend to wait till the end of the day, I'm always, almost always wearing my pajamas, which is my blue Superman shirt. I bet you guys are so tired of seeing my pajama shirt. It's always when I do vlogs. That's just how it happens. I don't know why it's always like that, but it seems like clip after clip I'm wearing my Superman shirt. So I changed, so I wouldn't be wearing that for when I did this clip for you guys. So I'm actually in the middle of a readathon, and I'm pausing my TBR just to fit this in, so that way this video can go up on time. But I'm going to be reading The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner today. This is, how long is this? Probably less than 200 pages. It's 178 pages. It is already after 1 o'clock, so I should be able to get it done. Worst case scenario, I finish the last bit of it tomorrow. It's not a big deal. I'm not really sure how I'm going to break this down as much as I did the other ones. The other ones I feel like I have a lot of concrete stuff that I can work with. This one, I'm actually not sure, because we are following a side character where this is all that we really know about her. So I'm looking forward to trying to figure this one out and see what I can do with it. I have only read it once in my life, so I haven't read it since the very first time I read it. So we'll see how this one goes. I'm back. It's the next day. So I listened to the audiobook of The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner on 1.5 speed, trying to get it done last night. I got everything except for like the last 20 minutes done, so I finished that this morning. I took notes, but I feel like I don't have that much to say about this, so we're gonna do it really quickly. So before I get started, I think that there should be a trigger warning for this book. While it is very brief and it is a memory, I think there should be a trigger warning for an abusive parent. Everything about this book, for me, this novella, is mostly just like questions I had or like observations I had. I really only had one section that I was like, I don't like that, which is surprising. So we're just going to go through the random thoughts that I had. The first one being that the character of Bree, her thoughts are just very calm. It isn't the personality that I expected of a newborn. I expected more frenzied, but she's very calm, very much herself, but she is mentioning how thirsty she is. One thing I was trying to figure out, but I think it is mentioned, is Riley is taking children that aren't going to be missed, so I'm thinking like maybe runaways or homeless. That's my understanding of it, but I'm not very sure. And they don't tell the newborns like anything. So the newborns were told that they'll turn into ash in sunlight, but we all know that in Twilight that is not accurate. So they really know nothing about being a vampire. Which I understand why Riley and Victoria didn't want to tell them that in the first place, but at the same time it's like there's some things like I don't think it would matter if they knew. Okay, so the thing that I didn't like, Bree was talking about how she was changed and how Riley offered her a burger, and she mentions how she would have had sex with him for it. And for that to be written about a 15-year-old, it's very off-putting. Like, I understand that there are terrible people in the world like that that would want sex to buy a child a burger, but it's very off-putting. I did not like reading that. One thing I do like that came from this book is that Bree had a friendship. There was a friendship formed with Diego. There is a friendship formed. I feel like it is explored a little bit, But I like that Bree and Diego are working together to uncover the lies that they were told and learn more about themselves. Final thing, one major thing that I completely did not remember at all from my original reading is that the Volturi actually worked with Victoria. They were in cahoots. And honestly, like, as I was listening to it, it makes so much sense how the Volturi got to the battlefield so quickly. I want to know if that's ever addressed, because Bree made sure that Edward was hearing her thoughts about everything that she knew, because she knew about them being in cahoots. And I want to know if that's ever mentioned again. I don't think it is. When I read Breaking Dawn, I think I am going to be keeping an eye out for that to see if there's any mention of it, though. Overall, not too much to say about this book. Nothing overly negative, nothing really overly positive, just random thoughts throughout the book. I think it gives a decent insight into the, quote, enemy of Eclipse, which I thought was interesting, but really she was just a pawn. That's basically it for my Eclipse reread and my Short Second Life of Bree Tanner reread. This is a long process of rereading all the books, especially spreading it out over the past few months. But next we'll be Breaking Dawn probably in like 2 months. I need a little bit of break from the vlog. Make sure you check out all the information and the links that I'm providing in the description below, as well as the other critical rereading videos if you want to check out those. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, so click subscribe so you can be updated for when I post those. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye! In the darkness, I don't feel so cold.